Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a scenario. It's a scenario that I think, well, honestly, I think it haunts everyone. It certainly keeps me up at night sometimes.
Oh, this sounds a little ominous.
It is in a professional sense. Picture this. You're in a high-stakes meeting. Or, maybe you're drafting an email to the entire company, or you're pitching a massive new client, and in your head, the idea is just, it's crystal clear. It's complex, it's nuanced, it is sophisticated. You can see the architecture of the entire argument perfectly.
You know exactly what you want to convey. You can feel the weight and the shape of it in your mind.
Exactly. But then you open your mouth, or your fingers hit the keyboard, and the words that come out, they aren't complex, they aren't sophisticated, they're basic.
Yeah.
You want to describe this complex integration of new software systems, and you end up saying, we're going to add this to that.
Right. Or we're going to start the project next week. Or my personal favorite, things are getting bad.
Yes. And you just sit there and you feel like your vocabulary has completely betrayed your intelligence. You feel like you're trying to paint the Mona Lisa, but you've only been given a box of 4 crayons, red, blue, yellow, green. That's it.
That is a painfully common experience. And, linguists and educators actually have a name for this specific frustration. It's called the intermediate plateau.
The intermediate plateau. Wow. It sounds like a kind of purgatory.
It absolutely feels like one. It's
Yeah.
that stage in language learning, or even just in your own professional development, where you are functional. You can order a coffee, you can run a meeting, you can write the report. You're fluent by most definitions, but you are stuck using those really high-frequency verbs: make, do, say, go, get, feel. You rely on them because they're safe, they're reliable. But the problem is, safe words are blunt instruments. They don't cut.
Blunt instruments. I like that. Because that's exactly what it feels like. You're just hammering at an idea when what you really need is a scalpel. You want to describe a specific texture of an emotion, and you just say, I feel sad. Well, maybe what you really mean is, I feel despondent or melancholy.
Precisely. And that is what we are going to be doing today. We are putting away the hammer. We are looking at this really fascinating piece of source material. It's titled The Ultimate Verb Mastery Guide.
Which I have to say, that sounds a little bit like a textbook title that I would usually scroll right past.
It does sound a bit dry, I'll give you that. But when you actually open it up, you realize this isn't a dictionary. It's more like a notebook on strategy. It identifies 30 specific verbs, what the guide calls academic pillars.
Academic pillars.
Yeah, and the whole premise is that these 30 words are the structural beams of professional and academic communication. If you can learn to swap your basic verbs for these pillars, you don't just sound smarter. You're actually communicating with a higher resolution.
High definition communication. So instead of standard definition, we're going 4K.
Exactly. We're moving from 1080p to 4K. We are taking a fuzzy image and just sharpening the edges so that everyone in the room sees exactly what you mean with no ambiguity.
Now, we have 30 of these pillars to get through, and I made a promise to our listeners that we are not just going to read a list from A to Z. I mean, that would be brutal.
I would lose everyone by letter C, for sure.
So we've organized them, we've looked at the source text, and we've grouped these verbs into what we're calling clusters, thematic clusters. So we're going to look at the verbs you use to build things, then the verbs you use to describe growth, conflict, truth, and finally, social contracts.
It's a journey, really.
Yeah.
It goes from the physical structure of things all the way to the ethics of how we treat each other. And for each one, we're going to try to give you synonyms, real-world examples, and the why. Why choose this word over the simple one?
So if you are ready to upgrade that box of crayons to a full oil painting set, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we are starting with our first cluster. We decided to call this group The Architects.
You architects. I love this title for them. It's perfect.
These are the verbs of construction, of organization, putting pieces together. So if you're a project manager, a coder, a baker, or, even just someone organizing a messy closet, these are your tools. And the first one is a word that I use constantly in the kitchen, but I think I might be underutilizing it at work. The word is incorporate.
Incorporate, yes. This is a heavy hitter.
Okay, so, standard definition time. To incorporate means to take something and put it into something else.
Right.
Is that basically it?
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
But that definition really misses the nuance. The definition in our text is to include something within a larger whole. But the real key is the Latin root, which is corpus, meaning body.
Body.
To incorporate is to bring something into the body. Now, just think for a second about what that implies. If you just add something, let's say you have a glass of water and you add a stone to it. The stone is in the water,
Right.
but it hasn't become part of the water. You can just reach in and take the stone right back out. They remain two separate things.
Okay. So adding implies the two things stay separate entities, like putting a cherry on top of a sundae. It's a garnish.
It's a garnish, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you take a drop of red dye and you put it into that water and you stir it, you have incorporated the dye. It has blended. It has become indistinguishable from the whole. It is now part of the body of the water.
That's a great visual. It's a chemical change almost.
It is.
So going back to my kitchen analogy, if I'm making a cake, throwing some chocolate chips on top at the end is adding.
Yes, that's decoration. You can pick them off.
But mixing the eggs and the sugar and the flour into the batter.
That is incorporation. You can't get the egg back out.
Yeah.
And this is why this word is so incredibly powerful in a business or professional setting. Think about software development or policy making or even just team feedback.
Okay, give me a business example.
Let's say you launch a new app. Users start complaining that a button is in a really awkward place. If you just slap a new button on top of the old one in the next update, you've added a fix. But it might look clunky. It might not fit the design language.
It looks like a patch, like a Band-Aid.
Exactly. But if you say the new update will incorporate user feedback, you are promising something so much deeper. You are telling your users that you took that feedback, you digested it, you understood it, and you wove it into the very DNA of the software. The new design will feel natural because that feedback is now part of its body.
That is a much, much bigger promise. It's so much more reassuring.
It is. It implies seamlessness. It implies thought. So when you're in that meeting and a team member suggests the new idea, don't just say, okay, we'll add that to the list. Instead, try saying, that's a great point. We will look for ways to incorporate that into the core strategy.
It tells them their idea isn't just going to be an appendage on a list somewhere.
It tells them it's going to be part of the core body of the plan. It validates their contribution on a whole other level.
I love that. Okay, I'm sold on incorporate. Moving to the next architect, and I'm going to be completely honest with you here. This word scares me.
I think I know which one it is.
It's the grammar trap. The word is comprise.
Ah, yes, comprise. Is it the most abused word in the English language? Maybe. It's certainly up there on the list.
So here's my confession. I use this word interchangeably with compose, and I almost always say something like, the team is comprised of 5 people, or the building is comprised of brick. And I can practically see you wincing through the screen.
I am wincing internally, yes. Just a little bit.
Well, what did I do wrong? Tell me.
Okay, so let's break down the pillar here. The definition of comprise is to consist of or to be made up of.
Okay. Still sounds the same to me.
The logic of the word comprise is that it represents the container, the whole. So the rule is the whole comprises the parts.
The whole comprises the part.
Correct. So the United Kingdom comprises England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The UK is the container. It holds them. It is the whole.
Okay. But what I usually say is the United Kingdom is comprised of.
And that is the trap. In traditional strict grammar, which is what we're aiming for here, precision is comprised of is considered incorrect.
Why, though?
Because the word comprise already includes the concept of. It means to include.
Yeah.
So if you say is comprised of, you're essentially saying is included of. It's redundant.
Included of. Yeah. Okay. That sounds ridiculous when you put it that way.
Now, I have to be fair. Language evolves. If you look at a lot of modern dictionaries today, many will list is comprised of as a common or widespread usage. So, you aren't going to get arrested for it.
But we aren't here for widespread usage. We're here for mastery. We want the precision.
Exactly. We're here for the 4K version. And the most precise usage is active. The container acts. The house comprises 7 rooms. The committee comprises 3 experts.
It sounds so much stronger without the of. It sounds more confident, more direct.
It's punchy. It's elegant. And frankly, it's a shibboleth.
Oh, what now?
A shibboleth. It's an old word for a kind of linguistic password. If you use comprise correctly, without the of, people who are tuned into grammar will immediately respect you on a subtle level. They will think, okay, this person knows their stuff.
And if you use it wrong, they might not say anything, but
So they will silently judge. It's just one of those little tells.
we definitely want to avoid silent judgment. So just to flip it, if I want to talk about the parts first, what verb do I use then?
Then you use compose. The parts compose the whole. So England, Scotland, and Wales compose Great Britain,
Mhm.
or in the passive, the team is composed of 5 members.
Got it. So the solar system comprises 8 planets, but 8 planets compose the solar
You
system.
got it. Just remember, comprises the container. It's the big box that holds the little boxes.
That is going to take some serious practice to unlearn, but I am marking that as a deep dive essential. Okay, next, architect. This one. This one gets a bad rap. I feel like this is the poster child for business jargon. The word is utilize.
Oh, utilize. Yes, I can feel the collective groan from everyone listening.
You groan too, but it's in the guide. It's one of the 30 pillars.
It is in the guide, and it absolutely belongs there. But you are 100% right. It has a terrible reputation.
It just feels like something a middle manager says when they really just mean use. We need to utilize the stapler. Just say use the stapler. It's not that hard.
And in that case, the middle manager is wrong. You should never, ever say utilize when the simple word use will do. It makes you sound pompous. It makes you sound like you're trying way too hard.
So when do we use it? Why is it a pillar? What's the secret?
Because there is a specific, narrow, and very important definition where utilize is the only correct word. Utilize means to make practical and effective use of something. But specifically, it implies using something for a purpose for which it was not originally intended, or to give it a new utility.
Utility. Okay, the root of the word.
Exactly. Think of the TV show MacGyver.
The guy who makes a bomb out of chewing gum and a paper clip.
That's the one. If MacGyver picks up a paperclip, he isn't just using it. He isn't attaching papers together. He is bending it, reshaping it, and sticking it into a lock to break into a high-security facility. He is utilizing the paperclip. He is finding a new utility for it that goes way beyond its simple intended existence.
So there's a strategy involved. There's an element of creativity or resourcefulness.
Strategy and resourcefulness. That's the absolute key. If I eat dinner, I use a fork. I don't utilize a fork. That's what the fork is made for. But if I take that same fork and use its prongs to reset the little button on my router, I am utilizing the fork as a tool.
That distinction is huge. It completely changes the meaning. So in a business context, if I have a big pile of customer data,
If you just look at it to see last month's numbers, you're using it. But if you take that data, analyze its hidden patterns, and turn it into a predictive model that helps you corner a new market, you are utilizing that data. You are leveraging it. You are squeezing every drop of value out of it.
it implies that you're smart, that you're not just taking things at face value.
Yes. So if your boss says, we need to utilize our existing assets to solve this cash flow problem, that's not jargon. That's a specific instruction. It means we're going to be clever with what we already have. We aren't just using money. We're making our assets work for us in new ways.
Okay, I am officially reclaiming utilize. I'm taking it back from the middle managers. It's a MacGyver word now.
Make it a MacGyver word. It deserves better.
All right, our final architect. This one feels big. It feels expansive. The word is encompass.
Encompass. It's a beautiful, sweeping word.
What's the mental image I should have for this one?
The image is a compass, but not the kind that points north, the geometry tool, the one that you use to draw perfect circles.
Okay, the little pair of metal legs with a pencil attached. I remember that from school.
Right. To encompass means to draw a circle around something, to surround and hold it within. The key nuance here that separates it from, say, include, is comprehensiveness. It suggests you're covering everything within that circle.
So it's about defining boundaries.
It's about defining the total scope. Imagine you are organizing a search and rescue mission for a missing hiker. You could say, we are going to search the mountain. Well, it's pretty vague.
It sounds like you might just wander around a bit and hope for the best.
Exactly. But if you say, the search perimeter will encompass the entire northern valley, you have drawn a precise line on the map. You are saying, everything inside this circle is our territory, and we are covering all of it, from the river to the ridgeline.
It sounds so much more thorough. It inspires confidence.
It leaves no doubt. And in abstract terms, it's fantastic for describing complexity. Take a job description, for example. You could say the role includes marketing and sales. Or you could say the role encompasses all aspects of marketing, sales, and customer support.
Which basically means don't come to me later saying that's not my job.
Exactly. The circle has been drawn. You are inside it. The scope is total.
It feels much more three-dimensional than just saying includes. Includes feels like a checklist, a bulleted list. Encompass feels like a territory, a domain that you own.
That's the perfect way to put it. So if we look at all four, we have a complete toolkit. Comprise creates the basic structure. Incorporate blends new things into that structure. Utilize puts the tools within the structure to clever work. And encompass defines the absolute boundaries of the whole project.
And just like that, we have built our first cluster. The architects. I feel smarter already, but a building is just a shell until you put life inside of it, right?
That's right. Structure is nothing without movement, without growth, without change.
Which brings us to our second cluster of verbs, the life cycle. These are the verbs of survival, of success, and, well, sometimes of scary, uncontrolled growth.
This is where we get into the really interesting differences between just living and truly winning.
We have a trio of words here that I think a lot of people, myself included, use as direct synonyms, but our guide says they are very, very different. The words are flourish, thrive, and proliferate.
These three are fascinating because they all describe doing well or growing, but the mental picture, the vibe of each one is totally distinct.
Let's start with flourish. It sounds pretty. It sounds artistic.
It is artistic. The technical definition is to grow or develop in a healthy or vigorous way, but the nuance is all aesthetic. The visual you should have in your mind is a flower opening up, a bloom, a beautiful, vibrant display.
So it's about looking good while you succeed. It's about the display of success.
It's about being in a favorable, almost perfect environment and showing off your health and vitality. A great example from the text is local businesses began to flourish once the new pedestrian zone was opened.
Right, so they aren't just making more money. You can see it. There are new signs, tables outside on the sidewalk, people are laughing, there's a vibrancy.
Exactly. An artist's career flourishes. A garden flourishes in the spring. It implies a level of maybe even luxury and beauty in the growth itself. It's growth plus aesthetics.
Okay, so compare that to thrive, because honestly, to me, they sound almost exactly the same.
Thrive is grittier. Thrive means to prosper or develop well, but the context it's often used in is one of robustness, or doing well despite difficult or imperfect conditions.
The source mentions bacteria, which is not a very pretty image.
Right. You wouldn't really say bacteria are flourishing in this deep-sea volcanic vent. Well, you could, but flourishing sounds too pretty, too delicate. You say certain bacteria thrive in conditions of extreme heat and pressure.
So thrive is about being tough, resilient.
It's about having a strong constitution. Think about it in terms of parenting. You want your child to thrive. That means you want them to be resilient, healthy, confident, and capable, even if life throws challenges at them. If they also flourish, if they win awards and become a famous musician, that's a wonderful bonus. But thriving is that baseline of strong, durable success.
That is a perfect distinction. Okay, so thriving is internal strength and health. Flourishing is the beautiful external radiance that can come from that strength in the right environment.
And then we have the third sibling, the dark horse, proliferate.
This one sounds technical, almost scary, like nuclear proliferation.
It is often used in technical or even negative contexts. The definition is very simple. A rapid increase in numbers, multiplying.
So it's just about math. There's no emotion to it.
It's math with an emphasis on speed. And usually, uncontrolled speed, it's growth that happens so fast it feels like it's taking over.
Like rabbits.
Rabbits, definitely. Or rumors on the internet, or cells. Cancer cells proliferate. You don't say cancer flourishes because that sounds positive and beautiful. You say it proliferates. It multiplies dangerously fast.
But can it be used for normal, non-scary things?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Think about coffee shops in a big city,
Mm-hmm.
or those electric scooters that appeared everywhere a few years ago. Electric scooters have begun to proliferate on every street corner.
That captures the feeling perfectly. It's not that they're good or bad. It's that one day there's none, and the next day you're tripping over 50 of them.
Exactly. The focus isn't on them being healthy, like with Thrive, or beautiful, like with Flourish. It's about the sheer volume and the astonishing speed of their arrival.
So if I'm a CEO, I want my employees to thrive, to be happy, resilient, and tough. I want my brand to flourish, to look great in the public eye and be admired, and I want my profits to.
Well, you could say proliferate, but that might sound to your board like they're multiplying out of your control. Maybe stick to grow or increase for profits. But you definitely don't want customer complaints to proliferate. Got it.
Okay, keeping with the life cycle theme, sometimes things don't just grow on their own. They need a kick, a push. That's where stimulate comes in.
Stimulate, to raise levels of activity, to encourage interest. This is the spark plug verb. It's the catalyst.
I always think of economics. Stimulus check. Stimulate the economy.
That's its primary home for sure. It's purely cause and effect. Lowering interest rates is a common monetary policy tool used to stimulate consumer spending. You are poking the beast, so to speak, to get it to move.
It feels biological too, like caffeine stimulates the central nervous system.
It is. The core idea is provocation. You are provoking a reaction. If a team is sluggish and uninspired in a brainstorming meeting, a good manager might need to stimulate discussion by asking a controversial question. You're jump-starting the engine.
But you can't just stimulate forever. You can't just keep jump-starting the car. You need it to keep running. That's sustain.
That is sustain. To strengthen or support something physically or mentally over time. This is all about endurance and durability.
I think of the word sustainability, which is everywhere now.
It's the exact same root. To sustain is to prevent failure over a specific duration. The emergency oxygen tanks were only rated to sustain the divers for 30 minutes. It's about providing the necessary fuel or support to keep going.
It's the fuel. So stimulate is the spark, sustain is the fuel.
Precisely. And this is where the life cycle verbs connect so beautifully to form a narrative. You use a big marketing campaign to stimulate initial interest in a new product. That's the spark. But you need a good product and excellent customer service to sustain that interest over the long term. That's the fuel.
And if you stimulate, but you can't sustain.
You burn out.
Yeah.
The fire dies. You're a one-hit wonder.
I love how these connect. It creates a whole story. You build the house with the architects, you plant the garden with the life cycle verbs, you kickstart the growth with stimulate, and you keep it alive with sustain.
And hopefully in the right conditions, it flourishes.
Hopefully. But now let's talk about time. Because nothing happens all at once. This brings us to segment 3, the timeline.
Time is so tricky in language. We often just fall back on start, then, and now. But precision with time establishes authority and clarity.
Let's talk about the idea of starting. We have 2 words here that are, kind of fancy ways to say start, but again, the guide says the vibe is completely different. Initiate and commence.
These are a great pair. Let's start with initiate. The definition is to cause a process or action to begin.
The key word there has to be process, right? It sounds very systematic.
Yes, exactly. You initiate a sequence. You initiate a program. You initiate the self-destruct sequence in a sci-fi movie.
Initiate launch sequence. Yes.
You don't initiate a sandwich.
Yeah.
You just make it. You initiate things that have steps, that have a chain reaction. The government has decided to initiate a new program to retrain unemployed workers. It implies pushing the first domino that sets a complex machine in motion.
Okay, so contrast that with commence. That sounds much more formal.
Commence is the tuxedo of verbs. It is formal. It is ceremonial. It has a sense of occasion.
The wedding ceremony will commence at noon.
Exactly. You would never say, let's initiate the wedding. That sounds like you're activating a robot. Commence implies gravity. It implies a schedule, a formal start time. The trial will commence on Monday. The graduation ceremony will commence with the national anthem.
So if I'm just starting a casual Zoom call with my team.
Just say start, please. If you say our weekly check-in will now commence, you sound like a supervillain.
Noted. Use initiate for systems, domino effects, and processes. Use commence for formal scheduled events. Use start for pretty much everything else.
That's a perfect rule of thumb.
Now, what about the order of things? The word precede.
Precede. To come before in time, order, or rank.
This seems really straightforward. A comes before B.
It is, but its power is in its elegance and formality. It's a very clean way to establish a sequence. In the water cycle, evaporation precedes condensation. A lightning strike always precedes the sound of thunder. It emphasizes the unbreakable order of events.
I find this one really useful in emails, especially when I need to clarify a messy conversation thread. Just to clarify, my email from Tuesday preceded the new updates we received from the client.
Ooh, that is a power move. I like that. It clarifies the timeline without sounding accusatory. It's just stating facts.
Yeah.
This happened, then that happened. Very clean.
And what if 2 things happen at the exact same time? Coincide.
Coincide.
Yeah.
To occur at the same time. But, and this is a fun little nuance, it often implies an element of chance or a happy accident or a correspondence of nature.
Like my birthday often coincides with a long weekend.
Right. You didn't plan it that way. It just happened to line up perfectly. It's a geometric term, really. 2 lines or 2 points coinciding, occupying the same space.
Can it be used for ideas, not just time?
Absolutely. This is a great use for it. It's good to know that my views on this project coincide with yours. It means our ideas are mapping onto each other perfectly. We are in the same space at the same time.
So we aren't just agreeing. It's like we independently arrived at the same conclusion. We are occupying the same mental space. That's a lot more descriptive.
It shows a deep alignment of thought.
Okay, so we've built it, we've grown it, and we've put it on a timeline. But now We have to deal with the messy reality of life. Things go wrong, arguments happen, mistakes are made. This brings us to segment 4, the conflict arc.
This is such a critical section because when things are going badly, you need to be very, very precise about how they are bad. Are they just a little annoying or are they fundamentally broken? The verb you choose signals the severity.
Let's start with a pair that I think is absolutely essential for anyone in customer service or management. Exacerbate versus alleviate.
The perfect pair of opposites. Let's start with the villain, exacerbate.
To make a problem, a bad situation, or a negative feeling even worse.
But here is the nuance from the text that I really want to highlight. Exacerbates often happens when you try to fix something, but you do the wrong thing and it backfires.
Like scratching a mosquito bite.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You have an itch. Your intention is good. You scratch it because you want relief. But the scratching inflames the skin and makes the itch 10 times worse. You have exacerbated the original problem.
Or, my personal favorite, telling an angry person to calm down.
Never, ever do that. You are pouring gasoline on the fire. You are actively exacerbating their anger. Your attempt to help has made it worse.
So exacerbate isn't just getting worse on its own. It's often an active intensifying of the badness, frequently by a misguided action.
Correct. Now let's look at the hero of this pair. Alleviate. Alleviate. To make suffering a deficiency or a problem less severe.
Okay, but the key question is, does it fix it completely?
No. And that is the trap people fall into. Alleviate does not mean cure. It means to lighten the load. The Latin root is levice, which means light. It's the same root as levitate. To alleviate is to lift the weight off.
Oh, that's cool. So you're not getting rid of the weight, you're just making it easier to carry.
Yes. Think of taking an aspirin. It alleviates your headache. It doesn't solve the underlying dehydration or stress that caused it in the first place. It just makes the pain bearable for a while.
The example in the guide is a new bridge being built to alleviate traffic congestion.
Right. The cars are still there. The traffic still exists. But the jam is less severe. In a business context, you might need to call a client to alleviate their concerns. You haven't necessarily fixed the broken product yet, but you've made them feel better and more patient for now.
That is such a crucial expectation to set, being able to say, look, I can't fix this today, but I can alleviate the immediate issue for you.
Precisely. It's an honest and precise description of what you can do.
Now let's talk about stopping things, or trying to. We have 3 verbs that all kind of look like stop to me: hinder, disrupt, and deter.
I call these the obstruction trio, and the difference between them is all about the mechanism of the obstruction. How does it stop you?
Okay, let's take hinder first.
Hinder means to create difficulties that result in delay or obstruction.
So it's friction, it's resistance.
It's mud. That's the best image. If you are trying to walk through deep, thick mud, your progress is hindered. You are still moving forward, but it's incredibly slow and difficult.
The heavy snow is going to hinder our drive to the airport.
You'll probably still get there, but you'll be very late. It's an impediment, not a full stop.
Okay, so what about disrupt? That sounds more final.
Disrupt is violent. It's a break. It means to interrupt an event, activity, or process by causing a significant disturbance.
So this stops the flow completely. There's no moving forward, even slowly.
Yes. To use our previous analogies, if the internet is slow, your work is hindered. If the power goes out completely, your work is disrupted. You cannot continue business as usual. The system is broken.
Protesters disrupted the politician's speech.
The speech stopped. Chaos ensued. The normal order of things was broken. Disruption fundamentally changes the state of play.
And finally, the third one, deter.
Deter is purely psychological. The definition is to discourage someone from doing something by instilling doubt or fear of the consequences.
This is the security camera in a store.
Exactly. We installed high-definition cameras to deter shoplifters. You aren't physically holding the thief back. You aren't tackling them to the ground. You are changing their mind before they even act. You're making them think the risk isn't worth it.
So let's try to put them all in a scenario. Let's say I'm a burglar.
Okay, you're a burglar.
I'm casing a house and I see a big "Beware of Dogs" sign on the gate. That deters me.
Hopefully. It makes you hesitate. You might choose to just walk away and find an easier target.
But I decide to go for it. I try to jump the fence, but my pants get caught on the top. The fence now hinders me.
You're slowed down, you're struggling, you're making noise. It's making the job harder.
And then the alarm goes off, the floodlights come on, the police are on their way, and I have to run away without the TV. The entire robbery was disrupted.
A perfect synthesis of the conflict arc. from psychological prevention to physical friction to total failure.
I feel like I just lived a very short and unsuccessful life of crime. But seeing those differences, psychological for deter, friction for hinder, and breakage for disrupt, that completely changes how you describe problems at work.
Exactly. Is this new regulation hindering our sales process, meaning slowing it down? Or is it disrupting our entire business model, meaning breaking it? The response to those two things is totally different.
High definition thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of figuring things out, let's move to segment 5, the detective.
I like this cluster. This is all about truth, clarity, and, well, confusion.
We have a word here that just makes me feel like I should be wearing a trench coat and smoking a pipe. Ascertain.
Ascertain. It's a great word. The definition is to find something out for certain, to make sure of.
So how is this different from just discover or find out?
Ascertain implies a deliberate, conscious effort, a process of investigation. You don't ascertain a $5 bill on the sidewalk. You just find it by chance.
Right, it was just there.
But you ascertain the truth through investigation. The fire marshal is working to ascertain the precise cause of the blaze. It implies sifting through evidence, ruling out possibilities, interviewing witnesses, and arriving at a confirmed answer.
So if I'm in a meeting and we don't know why our sales numbers are down, I shouldn't just say, I'll go find out. I should say,
I will ascertain the root cause of the decline. It sounds so much more professional. It sounds like you have a methodology. You're not just going to ask around, you're going to investigate.
and once you ascertain the truth, you might need to validate it.
Validate. To check or prove the validity or accuracy of something, this is the official stamp of approval.
The experiment was designed to validate the scientist's theory.
It's about giving something official status or confirming its legitimacy. You validate a parking ticket at the machine, but you can also validate a person's feelings by saying, it makes sense that you feel that way. You are confirming that their emotion is real and legitimate.
But what if the truth you ascertain actually destroys an old agreement? Then you might need to nullify it.
Nullify. To make legally null and void. To invalidate.
The root is null, right? As in 0.
Literally to make into nothing. The judge's new ruling nullified the previous contract. It didn't just break the contract, it treated it as if it never existed in the first place. It completely wiped the slate clean.
It's the ultimate undo button. There's no trace of it left.
It is. Use this when you want to describe something losing all of its value or all of its force. Runaway inflation can effectively nullify your recent salary increase.
That's a painful but very, very clear example. The raise is still on paper, but its real-world value has been reduced to 0.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about clarity itself, or the lack of it. We have a kind of visual spectrum here. Magnify, obscure, and bewilder.
Let's start with magnify. To make something appear larger than it is, we all know the literal example of a magnifying glass or a microscope.
But in a business or social context?
It means to exaggerate or amplify the importance of something. Look, focusing on this one tiny customer complaint will only magnify the issue and make it seem like a crisis when it isn't. You are making a small problem look huge.
And the opposite of that would be to obscure.
Yes, to keep from being seen, to conceal or make unclear. The best mental image here is fog. The thick morning fog obscured the view of the harbor. You know something is there, but you can't see it clearly.
Or using jargon to hide something.
A classic example.
Ah.
He used overly complex business jargon to obscure the fact that he hadn't actually done any of the work. The jargon is the fog.
I think we've all been in that exact meeting.
It's all about hiding the truth, whether intentionally or not, behind a layer of noise or fuzziness.
And if the noise and fuzziness get too intense, you get bewildered.
Bewilder. This is my absolute favorite word for confused. It means to cause someone to become perplexed and confused.
What's the nuance that makes it stronger than just confused?
The etymology is amazing. Bewilder comes from the Old English term wilder, meaning to lead astray or lure into the wilds, into the wilderness.
Oh, that's fascinating. So it literally means you feel like you're lost in the forest.
Yes, that's the feeling it's meant to evoke. If you're confused, you might just need someone to repeat the sentence more slowly. If you are bewildered, you have lost all your bearings completely. You don't know which way is north or south. You are lost.
The ridiculously complex new tax laws completely bewildered the citizens.
They are lost in the woods of bureaucracy. It's perfect.
That is such a stronger, more evocative image than just confused. I'm definitely using that.
Okay, we are in the home stretch. We've come to our final cluster, segment 6, the social contract.
This is where we leave the world of objects and processes and talk exclusively about people, about ethics, about rules, and about our relationships with each other.
Let's bring back a word that we teased a little bit earlier, assimilate.
Assimilate. The definition is to take in information, ideas, or culture and understand it fully. We talked about incorporating something, which is about putting it into a body. How is assimilating different? They sound similar.
Assimilate implies a fundamental transformation of the thing being taken in, or of the person doing the taking. If you incorporate an idea, you add it to your plan. If you assimilate an idea, it changes how you think. If an immigrant assimilates into a new culture, they start to adopt its customs and language. They change.
It can take many years for new immigrants to fully assimilate into a new society.
Right. Or think about information. If you just read a textbook, you might remember the facts for a test. If you truly assimilate the knowledge from that book, it becomes a permanent part of your thinking. You are changed by it.
So it's deep learning, it's not just memorization.
It is deep, transformative integration.
Now let's talk about power dynamics. Relinquish.
Relinquish. To voluntarily cease to keep or claim. To give up.
This sounds very dramatic, very formal.
It is. It's a high-stakes word. You relinquish a throne. You relinquish command of an army. You relinquish your legal rights to a property.
So it implies you are holding onto something valuable and powerful, and you are forced, or you choose, to let it go.
Often with a sense of reluctance, or as a matter of duty. He was forced to relinquish his seat on the board after the corruption scandal came to light. He had to give up the power. You don't relinquish the TV remote.
Good point. Okay, let's talk about rules. We have a pair here. Adhere and abstain.
Adhere. The best way to remember this is to think of adhesive, tape, glue. It means to stick fast to something.
As employees, we must adhere to the company's code of conduct.
You stick to the path. You don't deviate. It implies strictness and loyalty to a rule or a belief.
And abstain.
Abstain is the opposite action, in a way. It is restraining oneself from doing or enjoying something. It's about choosing not to do something.
For my diet, I am abstaining from all chocolate and sugar.
It implies self-control. You could have it, you might even want it, but you make a conscious choice not to. In a more formal sense, half the members voted yes, 2 voted no, and the rest chose to abstain. They chose not to participate in the vote.
And then we have a word that I think is the most ethically heavy and important word on this entire list. Condone.
Condone. I agree. It's a heavy one. The definition is to accept or allow behavior that is considered morally wrong or offensive to continue.
This is the silence is complicity verb, isn't it?
It is. If you are a manager and you see bullying happening in your team and you don't step in to stop it, you are condoning it. Your inaction gives it a passive permission to continue.
The school has a zero-tolerance policy and does not condone cheating in any form.
It's a verb of passive permission. It implies that by not acting, by staying silent, you are effectively giving your approval. It is a very, very powerful word to use when you want to call out a failure of leadership. By ignoring the constant harassment complaints, the CEO effectively condoned that toxic behavior.
Wow, that hits hard. It puts the responsibility right back on the observer or the person in power.
Exactly as it should.
Let's end on a slightly lighter note, a happy social interaction. Reciprocate.
Reciprocate, a lovely word. It means to respond to an action or gesture with a corresponding one.
The ping pong of social life. Give and take.
Yes, that's it. I invited her to our dinner party, and she reciprocated a few weeks later by inviting us to a barbecue. It's the cycle of giving and receiving that builds relationships.
So if I smile at a stranger on the street and they just stare at me blankly,
They've failed to reciprocate, and that tiny social connection is broken. Reciprocity is the engine of friendship, networking, and good business relationships.
wow. We have covered a massive amount of ground here.
We really have 30 pillars in one deep dive.
We've gone from incorporating eggs into a cake to deterring thieves with security cameras to assimilating into new cultures and condoning, or hopefully not condoning, bad behavior in the workplace.
It really just shows you that words are not just labels. They're tools. They are precision instruments. They're levers that can move minds.
If you say to your boss, the new policy hinders us, you are saying we are slow. But if you say the new policy disrupts us, you are saying we are broken.
And that single word choice changes how your boss reacts. It changes the budget they might give you to fix it. It changes everything.
So to our listener out there who feels stuck on that intermediate plateau,
You now have 30 new pillars. You have a 4K camera for your thoughts.
my advice, Don't try to use all 30 of them tomorrow. You will absolutely bewilder your colleagues.
Yes, please don't overdo it.
Great.
Pick one or two, maybe try to use initiate and commence correctly, or utilize and encompass. Just try to fit them naturally into one email or one conversation this week.
See how it feels. See if it changes the way people respond to you.
I guarantee it will. You will sound more precise, more authoritative, and ultimately more thoughtful.
And you won't be just using words anymore. You will be utilizing them to their full potential.
Look at you go. A natural.
I'm learning. Thank you so much for guiding us through this. This is incredibly illuminating.
It was my pleasure. Keep building those pillars.
And to our listeners, keep thriving, keep assimilating new knowledge, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.